And so we come to day 5 of this week's series of Take 5, and we are looking at the last 2 verses from this little passage. I mean, it goes on, there's a lot more, and that's all to come. But here, we read from 1 to 5 yesterday, and then we get just 2 verses that we're focusing on today. So I'm going to read them. While they were there in Bethlehem, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger, because there was no guest room available for him. And I'll be honest with you, as I looked at this one, I thought, not a lot for me to go on this one. So I've just had to sort of really think and pray and say, well, Lord, what do you want to highlight from these 2 verses? And actually, the main thought that has come to me is this. It's the last 7 verses, or 8 words. There was no guest room available for them. We all know the story. We know that they knock on the houses and the hotels and say, I've got a pregnant woman, she's about to give birth, and they're all like, no. And he then finds one where they actually do say yes to him. Not in finding room, but in finding sort of an emergency shelter for him. And so we often hear it called a stable or a manger. In some versions, I know they talk about a cave. Whichever it is irrelevant. Because here's the point. There was no guest room available for them. Think about what we've said this week. Elizabeth and Zechariah were prepared for the birth of John the Baptist. Mary and Joseph were prepared for the birth of Jesus. But the world was not prepared for Jesus. The world wasn't looking out for him coming. Of course, we do know there were people like the Magi who were reading the stars, and they will eventually turn up, not while he was still a baby in the manger. It's likely that they came probably when he was about 2 years old. But the fact is, most people were not looking for the birth of Jesus specifically. Yes, they were looking for the Messiah. They were waiting for the Messiah to come, but they were not made ready. They were not living as though they were ready. Well, now we are being made ready again. Because of course, we know as God's people that Jesus has promised that he will return. So I want to ask you a very simple question. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for him coming? There's lots of people talk about, we're in the end times, or this is going to happen and this is going to happen. At the end of the day, I don't actually think those things are as relevant as the fact that he is coming back, and nobody knows the hour or day when he will return. And therefore, we need to live in a state of readiness. We need to be ready for him to come. He could come in 500 years from now, but he could come this afternoon. Are you living ready for his return? Because I believe that's a real challenge to us. Just as they were being made ready for the coming of the King Jesus, we too, we already have Jesus with us, as he promised never to leave us or forsake us. But are we living ready for him to return and then take us to be in his kingdom? So another challenge for you there. I hope this has been helpful to you this week in just sort of opening up our thoughts a little bit about a story which is so familiar. But I want to be a person who says yes to God. I know I fail sometimes, but I want to be a yes man to God, and I want to live ready for his return, and I hope you do too. Have a truly wonderful Christmas. May God bless you.